That's right, Hammy. It's our lunchtime, isn't it?
Huh? Isn't it, little Hammers? What are you doing? You eating? Oh, man. Hi.
I'm enjoying it as much as you are, too. You. What's up, guys? Drone worship in your face. I apologize for weird content, man. I've been posting just some of the little stuff I've been doing and not really emphasizing on things that I purchased and stuff like that. But you guys know I bought the Fimi SE 2020, and today we're going to do my pros and cons because I've had quite a few flights on this thing now. I understand the characteristics of how it works, and I have my gripes. I definitely have my gripes. Before we go on, would I not purchase it again based on what I know now? No, I would still purchase the drone. I think it's great for what it is. You know, I can't compare this to a DJI product because it's $400 versus like the majority of your high-end birds. I mean, this is a large bird. It's on par with the Mavic series and stuff like that. It's same size, so I can't put it against the Mini because it's not. It's a larger, platform. There's two different platforms going on here. As far as capabilities go, yeah, it's on par with the Mini, but at the same time, it's not. And we'll go into all that. So let's start with the pros, right? I love how large this is. I love the look of it. It's a fantastic looking drone. I wish they would have done some other colors other than white, but as you guys know, you can buy skins and put them on this thing. So white is just so hard to see. It makes it very difficult to pinpoint it in the sky and where it's at. And so I'm probably definitely going to put a skin on this or paint it, one or the other, because I'm not a huge fan of white quads. You just can't see them. Once you get out there, it's like, well, where the hell did it go? It makes it very hard for line of sight flying. Visual LOS, man, that's a thing. That's a thing today. So it makes it very difficult to do that. If this was orange, you could see it forever, but you can't. So I'm not a huge fan of the white, though it looks good. With the current LOS laws that they have in place, they should really focus on making these things colorful. So, yeah, the battery life on this thing is fantastic. I have to admit, when they say it gets really good flight times, they're not kidding. This thing does. Dude, I made 3 flights on this before I finally had to charge the battery. I think it was coming in like 32 minutes of flight time. That's spectacular for a drone of this size and caliber. That's really good because, believe it or not, this is heavier than I expected it to be. It's definitely heavier. For not having obstacle avoidance, it's definitely heavier than I thought. So for those of you guys thinking this is an obstacle avoidance sensor, it's not. This is fucking nothing. It means nothing. It does nothing. It's just for looks. Aesthetically pleasing looks. That's all that little black guard is for. It does have the sonic sensor and the optical flow sensor, obviously for precision landing and being able to stabilize. And I have to say, it works pretty good. It drifts a little bit when it first takes off, but once it finds its happy place, it just holds that happy place and rides it. I do love the props, man. These quick disconnect props are amazing. It's definitely a follow-up of DJI stuff. It follows that whole thing. So the quad has not overheated. I've left it in direct sunlight. I've done some pretty thorough testing with overheating, trying to get it to overheat, and I couldn't do it. I saw a lot of people having vibration problems with theirs. I found that if you just put the battery in with a nice hard click, I don't get any of those vibration warnings, like extensive vibration warnings, land immediately. I have had none of those. I did do the firmware update. Has not seemed to cause any problems since I did the firmware update. I did have a gimbal glitch at first until I went ahead and just recalibrated everything, and that seemed to solve it. And I also got my flat horizon back. It was a little tilted at first and it had a glitch in it, so I redid the compass or the gimbal calibration, recalibrated everything else, and that seemed to solve it. So their firmware seems to be working. The newest update that they just released seems to be working. I don't remember the numbers, guys. I'll have to put that in the description below for you. So I love the way the quad functions. The GPS seems to be not the best, but it works. I will say it's a pro because it works, and it does pick up GLONASS, not just GPS satellites. It does use GLONASS as well. Most of our birds out today should be using GLONASS, so that makes total sense. I'm glad that this bird does do GLONASS. However, I will say that the GPS is a little weak. Like in my house, at least my old Solo can get a couple satellites. In my house, this gets no satellites. It can't have anything covered over it whatsoever. If I go outside, it takes about a minute to pick up 12, 13 satellites. And then from there, it'll kind of go up. You know, I think the most I've had on it was like 17, 16, something like that. It was, you know, but it was working. So it was working really well. Once you get it outdoors and you don't have a ton of tree cover around you, it works really well. If I was trying to take off in heavy tree cover, that might make a bit of a problem for this drone, to be honest with you. If you had a lot of tree cover around you, it would probably take a while to get a GPS lock, and that's frustrating that that's the case. You would think by now most of the GPS that you put in drones are going to be pretty good, you know, because you don't want flyaways, you don't want inconsistencies in things, and that's not the case here. Fimi chose to choose a little bit of a cheaper satellite or GPS system for this, and with that came sometimes longer connections and having to wait for more satellites. Not horrible. I've never had to like pick it up and reposition it. I just had to wait maybe an extra minute for it to get the amount of satellites that requires a good lock. It'll say ready to go, and then it'll say really ready to go. Like, you can tell the difference. The more satellites you get based on the color of the GPS up in the corner. So if it's like red, it's like not ready yet. Green, it's good. And then like really lit up green, it's great. It's ready to just go. It's got a nice stable lock. So the bird itself functions well. I've tried 90% of the features. Now, I'm not going to make that video just because it's been done so many times by other people at this point. I'm just going to make the pros and cons video. I have yet to test it in the rain. That is a thing. Dan is going to put it up in the rain because I want to see what happens when it's raining. Because they say it doesn't. They say it's rainproof. Like, I'll wait until we get like a mild rainy day and I'll send it out and see what happens. Like, what the fuck? What's the worst that could happen? I can think of a lot, but it says rainproof. I want to test that theory. I have to find a way to test that theory with real rain. So we're going to do that at some point when it rains. I absolutely love this setup. This DJI, learn from Fimi. This is beautiful. Just ergonomic. It feels fucking good in your hands. Oh, it's just amazing. A little cheap feel, kind of. You can hear the plastics. Not quite on par with DJI, but just the ergonomics of how this was designed. Oh my God, it just fits so perfectly. It doesn't, this is locked in. They're far apart. It just, fucking DJI, pay attention. Fimi is doing it right. You don't know what you're doing. Please go back to the drawing board. This is an incredible design. I love all of this. Takes big tablets, small phones, large phones, doesn't matter. Phablets, tablets, iOS devices. This thing was designed with the user in mind. This is incredible. I love this setup. I even love that the sticks just fit in there. Pink, and they just done. Like, it literally takes me a minute to get this drone in the air now. I don't have to wait on anything. Nothing. This is such a perfect setup. You got your EV roller on the back. You got some preset buttons right here. You have a toggle that you can preset. I mean, everything else is pretty much laid out. Your options menu. You got your record and picture back here. And then you got your gimbal tilt on this side. All of this is set up perfectly for the user. This was such a fantastic design. I love this. I absolutely love this. The only downside to this transmitter is the battery life. It's not great. I have found out after 3 flights, man, this thing has like 1 bar of battery left. That seems a bit extreme for me. That just means that the penetrating signal and the receiving signal this thing is sending is taking a lot of power to get it to do that. So Fimi, if you're listening, I would have loved to have seen a larger battery or a stick, you know, and I might try that. I might plug this in while it's on and see if I can actually just attach a power bank to the back of it, a nice little small power bank to give it some extra power, and see if that works. But other than that, this design, DJI, where are you? This is amazing. I love this setup. This is incredible. I would love to see DJI move more to something like this. So with that being said, it's time for the cons. And I have my frustrations. I really do. The pros are all great and dandy, but once you buy a product and you find the little things that annoy you about it and stuff like that, we all have our gripes. I will say that the transmission signal that you get back to the transmitter is great. Oh my God, the quality of it is incredible. But with that good quality coming back through Wi-Fi means latency lag. And I was unaware of how severe the latency lag really was. And that's just because they're trying to push back to the transmitter a really high resolution video transmission for you. And unfortunately, that's causing a lot of latency lag in this drone. So I found the further I got away, when I would turn left, it would take a second before I'd start to see it swing. And unfortunately, that means this is not really great for proximity flying. I would be a little skittish to get close to water or trees or objects with this, just because I know that I don't know if it's quite a half-second delay. It's enough to make you crash if you were trying to do some proximity with this, like some close quarters proximity. It's definitely enough to screw you up if you were long range. I found the closer I got, the better the transmission signal got as far as latency lag, but the further away I got, the worse it got. Totally just bad. And Fimi, if you're listening, that is solvable. That is totally solvable. I tried to shoot in lower format res just to see if that would cut back on the resolution signal that my transmitter was getting back to my phone, and it did not. It still had the same consistency of latency lag. It's solvable, Fimi, if you're listening. Just make it so that we can choose our incoming transmission resolution. That way it's not taxing the bird so much to send that high-res signal back, right? I mean, if I'm just cruising like a regular cruise and I'm not doing proximity, I really don't see the need for that really high-resolution format coming back to my transmitter. So why not make it so that you can do 480, 720, 1080, right, as an incoming resolution signal? Because the more you can cut back on that resolution, the more you're going to not have latency lag and be able to do proximity stuff with this drone. This is a great aerial platform for cruising around, getting some high altitude footage. I would not use this for close quarters proximity flying. This is not that type of bird. I can tell you that right now. With how they have it currently set up, that's not it. And it's so easy to solve and fix. I can't believe Fimi hasn't invested the time and energy into making selectable resolution coming back to the transmitter. It's such a simple thing to do. It would literally take probably a week for them to figure out a good way to do it and then upload it as an update, and then that would give you the ability to change the incoming resolution. So kind of frustrating. It's a very frustrating thing for me is that I bought a bird now I is really only good for aerial photography. This just cannot be used in the same aspect as most of my previous drones, when it comes to proximity. That's frustrating to me. So that and the camera. This bird really loves sunny days where the sun is directly above you. Then you get to see the ground and you get to see the sky, right? Without all the blowout and all the image sensor getting confused, the light sensor getting confused. I did order the ND filters, and I'm going to have to put an update description in this if the ND filters change that. But as of right now, it doesn't like the sun going down, and it doesn't like the sun coming up. Any time the sun comes off the horizon, or and it gets up to here, it sucks. But as soon as that sun is overhead with anywhere within this aspect of this, that's perfect. You can see perfect detail scaling's phenomenal in the camera. Everything is great. But when that sun starts going down or coming up, man, you got to be just looking away from the sun if you want any kind of real good footage. You cannot, it just does not perform well when it tries to decipher the difference between the sky and the ground when the sun is coming. So we're going to see if the ND filters make any kind of change to that. I get that it'll darken the footage, but I'm hoping it'll help the light sensor in some aspect be able to resolve those issues, because it doesn't matter how much I change it in the settings manually or adjust the EV comp. It's either bleaching out the sky or it's bleaching out the ground, darkening out the ground. There's really no in between, and that really sucks. As far as my two cons, really that's it, man. There's definitely more pros than cons about this. I bought a GPS drone to get aerial photography footage. That's what I'm getting. If I want to be chancy and risky, then I'll do a little proximity with this closer to trees to get that nice flowy cinematic feel. I probably won't be doing too much of that though. Like I said, I really essentially bought this just as an aerial photography platform, just to have some fun, maybe even chase me on my bike. I have yet to do that. I did try out the tracking stuff. I would like to lock it onto my motorcycle and take a cruise and see exactly how fast I can get it up to, and see if it can even keep up with me up to like 20 miles an hour. It'd be interesting to see if it can actually get to 20, 25 miles an hour. If it can, then it's a pretty good tracking software. I have a feeling anything after 12 or 15 miles an hour, it's probably going to drop off. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I've seen people track their motorcycles with these, and some guy's like, I can just keep giving it throttle and she'll keep going. And he kept pointing at his speedometer, and he was past 20 miles an hour. So there was a guy in Thailand that did the same thing on his scooter, and it did a very good job of locking on and just keeping up with the target. So we'll see. I'm totally down for doing that. So that is my pros and cons list of the Fimi SE 2020 as of right now. Works great. I am a little pissy about one more thing here. I had to buy a gimbal guard for this, right? Because it just came with a fucking piece of foam. That was a joke. Whoever, Fimi, if you're listening, that was a joke. This part literally probably cost about 7 cents to make. You should have sent something like this with it. That's, man, that's a little crazy. You just couldn't supply us with a plastic gimbal guard. Like, the most important part of this drone is the gimbal and camera, and I want to protect it the best I can. You just shoved a piece of fucking foam on it and slammed it in a box and sent it to me. So easy to get damaged. I can't, like, I had to, literally, I went on eBay and had to buy a gimbal guard for this. So, frustrating. That's a frustration, Fimi, if you're listening. So, other than that, love your product. It's amazing. Anybody thinking about buying this, it's a great drone for what it is. For the price point of $386, it's pretty hard to argue with, man. And it also shoots 4K, 60 HDR. You get all the good stuff with it. It's got a ton of tracking modes. It's got waypoint missions. It's got a lot of your dronies. It's got a lot of the stuff that your DJI products are going to have for a fraction of the price. Seems totally worth it to me. That's up to you guys. All right, man. I got stuff to do today. I've been very busy. Some of you guys know why I've been busy. I'm planning something. It takes a lot of money to do that planning. So Dan's been working his butt off, making lots of moolah to do what I want to do next. So we're going to do that. So I'll catch you guys on the flip, man. Drone worship from somewhere in beautiful my kitchen in Tampa, Florida. I'll catch you on the flip. To-the-roo.
Hey, Doc, we better back up. We don't have enough road to get up to 88.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.